Good morning. My name is Amanda Duffy. I'm with National Women's Soccer League. Welcome to A&E headquarters in New York City. We are very excited to have all of you here with us, watching live on Facebook and YouTube for this historic announcement. It is my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. We are joined by NWSL Commissioner Jeff Plush, A&E Networks President and CEO Nancy Dubuque, U.S. Soccer President Sunil Gulati, and Sky Blue FC defender and veteran of 4 Olympic Games and 5 World Cups, former U.S. Women's National Team Captain Christy Rampone. In addition, we are very pleased to have several NWSL and U.S. Women's National Team players in attendance. North Carolina Courage forward and 2016 NWSL MVP, Lynn Williams. Boston Breakers midfielder and 2017 #1 overall draft pick, Rose Lavelle. Chicago Red Stars forward, Stephanie McCaffrey. Chicago Red Stars goalkeeper, Alyssa Nair. North Carolina Courage midfielder, Samantha Mewis. And Washington Spirit midfielder, Christy Mewis. Before we hear our speakers today, we have a special video for you.
Winding down, ball to the far post, Williams! Spectacular from Ohio! What a
At this time, I will welcome NWSL Commissioner Jeff Plush to the podium for today's announcement.
Thank you, Amanda. Good morning. This is a tremendously exciting day for the National Women's Soccer League. We are on a journey to establish a sustainable, permanent women's soccer league in the United States and Canada with our great partners, our 10 committed owners that have been with us from day one, our committed partners at the United States Soccer Federation, without whom we would not be where we are today. And so thank you, Sunil. Our journey is all about partnership, and it takes great partners to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Our dear friends at Nike who've been with us from day one, our existing partners at Thorne and Cutter who joined us last year, and we look forward to many years together. But today we get to bring on a new partner. And it's a transformational day for our league as we announce a partnership with A&E Networks. Please, yes. So, we're here today for this transformational day to tell our story. And our story is about the great young women, many of whom are here today, who play at such a high level, play with a sense of commitment and passion, and take on the mantle of being a role model for their young players who aspire to be them one day. And so when I think about the most perfect partnership, we talk about A&E Networks, we talk about Lifetime Network. And so the partnership is wide-ranging, and it includes A&E is coming on as an equity investor in our league. As important as anything, they're a board member of our league and be collaborative with us, be part of the daily process of trying to build this league into the greatest league in the world. And so that is a true commitment, and it's true partnership, and one that we are very excited about. It's also the launching of NWSL Media, which is a digital and commercial arm of our company, where all of our digital assets will be deployed globally, and new content will be developed. So you think about all of the opportunities that we'll have to tell these stories over and over and over again, stories that need to be told, stories that we can be really tremendously proud of, and a whole company dedicated to telling that story. And then finally, and really exciting, is it's a game of the week on Lifetime. It's every Saturday afternoon, every week of the season, a true home, a broadcast partner on Lifetime. Lifetime's a fully distributed cable network, as you all know, and many of those of you watching, 96 million homes. Globally available. It's something that we couldn't ask for a more authentic partner. And I think that's the most important thing is we've been down this road for such a long time working with A&E to establish this partnership. We learned very early on that this is a partnership of people that are viewing the world in a very similar way and trying to create a platform for young women. And so we couldn't be more excited about it. I want to take this opportunity to thank CEO Nancy Dubuque for all of your support and efforts. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank their president, Dan Surratt, for wherever he is, there he is, for the tremendous number of hours that he's put into this and tremendous number of miles flown. And we've gotten to this point. And so we're very appreciative of this opportunity to partner with Lifetime and A&E, very appreciative of the partnership, very appreciative of the burgeoning friendship that we are embarking on. And so again, I talk about us being on a journey, and it's a journey that's made more rewarding by the people you get to share it with. Today we've added to our ranks a truly great new partner, and we've added another chapter in our story, a story that we get to tell about the wonderful young women, and one of whom you're going to hear from very shortly, and Christy Rampone. We're playing this sport at the highest level. They're playing it at the highest level, something we should be really proud of, and it's a story of possibility and possibilities that will be brought to life with a great new partner. So without much further ado, it's my sincere pleasure and privilege to introduce their CEO, Nancy Dubuque.
Thank you, Jeff, Sunil, and welcome to A&E headquarters on 45th Street in New York City. This is really an incredible moment for Lifetime and for A&E Networks, and for me personally. Not only is soccer an incredible sport, a dramatic sport, an incredible story, a growing business, but I also think in the narrative of empowering women, being a female athlete is incredibly important to being a successful woman. And myself, as a college athlete, I know the power of that, the power of what that gave me and how that taught me to help be a CEO of a media company. You have to have strength, you have to have determination, and you have to compete. And I think that that is an incredibly important and powerful message for the girls and women today, and at a time that could not be any more significant and important for women, not only in our country, but worldwide. So I'm looking forward to the partnership not only to promote soccer and NWSL, but to also show girls and women around the world how to think about themselves and their place in this world differently. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. We are also joined by U.S. Soccer President Sunil Gulati, and look forward to your thoughts, Sunil.
Yeah, the ovation was louder for Nancy, but she pointed out that most of you in the back work for her, so it's understandable, I guess. It's great to be with Nancy and Jeff, but I've seen them relatively recently. I hadn't seen Christy in quite a while because she retired from the national team, but she's still playing, and we're going to honor her in a month at a game. And she's played in, as you heard, multiple Olympics, multiple World Cups, was on our team in 1999 that won the World Cup, and again on this last team. And she said she'd be happy to show up today. She had another commitment, but given all those accomplishments, she thought it was very important that Jeff referred to her at least 2 or 3 times as that wonderful young woman, which is great. So great to have you here, Christy. It's great to be here. I think today is not only great news for the NWSL and great news for A&E, but really for the women's sports movement generally. And it's around the world. The interest in the women's game in Europe, and especially in the United States, is at an all-time high. Interest in new owners in the league is terrific. Interest from new partners. Our team continues to do well on the field, not as well as we wanted maybe at the Olympics, but I think that'll change pretty quickly. You've got now major teams in Europe that have, in some cases, men's teams, in other cases not, like Chelsea, like Arsenal, like Man City, that have started programs, that are investing in them heavily, and I think that can only be good for the game. And especially given all the other things that are happening these days for the last few weeks and few months, I think this is a real proud moment for sports, for soccer especially, as the game continues to grow in the United States. So we're excited about this partnership. We're excited about the NWSL starting its 5th year, and to a long life with growth along the way. I should also recognize we had a board meeting yesterday in Chicago, and I couldn't go because I had commitments here, so I joined them on the phone. But we actually have 3 owners who came out from the meeting last night. So I want to recognize them. Steve Tamaris with Sky Blue, Arnhem Whistler with Chicago, and Bill Predmore with Seattle. Thank you, gentlemen. Chris Canetti is also here from Houston, so thanks for everything you guys have done, and we're going to make this work in a very big way over the years to come. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Sunil. And finally, I would ask Sky Blue FC defender Christy Rampone for her perspective on today's announcement.
Thanks for having me. This relationship is absolutely exciting. As a player, on the player's perspective, we just found out, and I couldn't be more thrilled, obviously, being in previous leagues and knowing how important it is to have a connection and a partnership like A&E, joining with the family of the NWSL. It's so exciting for the players because we're about continuing the growth of the game. And what better way to do it than have a game once a week where the fans can connect and be part of this. It's exciting to move forward and have young girls and boys have the opportunity to be able to watch professional sports, especially on the female side. So it gives these girls opportunity to someday aspire to be in our footsteps. But it's a beginning process and a start, and we can't thank A&E family enough, and Nancy and Sunil and Jeff for really putting forward a great effort and continue to grow this league, because it is a starting base, but we're here for the long run and the long haul, and we can't wait to have a lifetime of a partnership and a happiness with A&E. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming out today, and really excited to get this league started.
Thank you, Christy. We'll now begin the question and answer portion of the press conference.
Hi, Nancy and Jeff. I was curious, this is a bit of a non-traditional arrangement for a sports league. I wonder if you could explain or give us a little insight on who came to who and how this came about.
Sure. You want me to take that? Yeah, certainly. So as I mentioned earlier, Dan Surratt, we first talked quite a while ago to start the conversation, and we knew right from the very first conversation there was a tremendous opportunity here. Is it non-traditional? I don't actually think so. If you think about what it is at its base, it's an authentic relationship. If you think about what Lifetime stands for on a daily basis, it's about empowering young women. That's exactly what our league is about. So I think it's a perfect partnership. A&E Networks is one of the most robust media companies in the world. So if you think about all the things and all the assets they bring to bear, I don't think we could ask for a better partner. And so that evolved over the last handful of months as we talked it through, and I think we've found a wonderful new home for our league, and but also a partner who's with us on our board and an investor in our league, and so it's really the perfect combination from our chair. So.
Yeah, and from our chair, the business is anything but traditional these days, and we don't see the Lifetime brand as just a television brand. We see it as a female media brand, and it has to represent what she is interested in up and down the spectrum in terms of all kinds of content. If you may recall, about 20 years ago, the legacy of Lifetime in its early days, it actually broadcast the WNBA. So this isn't that foreign for Lifetime to understand the importance of women's sports and the important message that that delivers. And it's not just an empowerment message, but it's entertainment. And I think that makes it all the more appropriate for us.
Nancy, Lifetime hasn't aired live sports in quite some time. I'm curious to hear from you guys what type of infrastructure you guys are now trying to put in place so that you can be as robust a live sports broadcaster that people will have come to expect from other platforms like ESPN, like Fox Sports, et cetera.
Sure. John Skipper and I are friends. We've spoken about this. Dan Surratt, actually, who's been mentioned a couple times on this board, has a sports producing background. That team is working hand in hand with Sunil and NWSL to bring the appropriate sports production group together to manage this. Just like any production we mount, every one is different from the last. Live production is something that's very familiar to A&E Networks and its production skills. Obviously, sports has a different component to that, but I'm very confident that it's a little early to announce who's being hired to do what in terms of directing and on-air commentary. But what I'm seeing is it's a first class, and it's all names that you are familiar with in terms of the coverage at both World Cup and Olympic level.
Hello. Yes. Hi. This is for Jeff or Nancy. Is the league receiving any money for these broadcasts?
Yes, it's an integrated strategic partnership. They're an investor. Wouldn't go into the details, but it's a significant investment and one that we are tremendously appreciative of. And it's a long-term partnership, and that's the view. It's for a very long term. And I would say that not only are they an investor, but they're a collaborator. And so it's something that we are very enthusiastic about.
Sort of a follow-up question. I'm probably putting the cart in front of the horse, but let's say this game of the week is successful. Are there perhaps options in the future to add a second game, maybe a game on Sunday? Has that been discussed or part of the contract deal?
I would say it is putting the cart before the horse a little bit. Thank you, but it's a good question. No, we haven't discussed that yet. Remember that we're going to have the game of the week on linear, and then every other game through NWSL Media. So we're going to be developing every game. Every game will be available as it always has been, and so we have a lot of excitement about what we can do with our digital content. We're having a significant level of robust conversations with digital partners about how to distribute those games. And so I think we have a tremendous amount of confidence. And in an evolving world, people consume media in many different ways. I mean, Nancy knows this a lot better than I do, but I think we'll evaluate how we move forward on how many games will be on linear. But suffice it to say, the commitment to deploying the content is very real.
I think it's important to note, we're not in the game of the week business necessarily. We're investing in NWSL. In addition to broadcasting, the game of the week is one part of that. And so, we're equally motivated to make this successful on every platform and in whatever scope it needs to be.
Hi, this is for Nancy. I'm just wondering, is this sort of a vote of confidence that your investment, that the labor deal with the national team players is going to happen fairly quickly and those players will be available for you?
I think I should let Sunil answer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let Nancy take that one. I'm quite confident that we'll have a CBA with the women's national team. But I'd say make three comments to that. One, and there's a number of meetings scheduled over the next few weeks. They've had a change in leadership, and there's a very different tone to the discussions. So that's point one. Two is we've still got some time between now and the start of the season. But three more, maybe most importantly, while the national team players are an important part of the league, a very important part of the league, I don't want to underestimate that, the league and A&E's commitment is far beyond just the national team players. we have a broadcaster for national team games. This is about the league, about long-term development of the league. And as Nancy and Jeff have both said, it's more than just broadcasting 20-plus games. It's a complete partnership with an equity stake, with a commitment to make stars of these players beyond how well they're known now, and so on. So I'm confident the national team players, CBA, will be done in plenty of time for the season, but it's really a much broader deal. We've got a couple hundred players in this league, not 25.
I'm not sure who could answer it, but in the past you've had over here, the live streaming of every game on YouTube. What's the status of that? I know there's a brief paragraph in the press release, but are there plans to continue that in some format?
Yes, absolutely. We have every intention of streaming every game that isn't on linear. And as I've just mentioned, we're in a variety of conversations. Who might be that distribution partner will still be decided. But the commitment to making our games available and the content available so that people can follow these young women, absolutely, the commitment is the same as it's always been.
Jeff, in terms of the investment from A&E Networks, was that part of the reasoning in bringing up the minimum salary for NWSL players, investing in that up-and-coming class of players?
You know, I wouldn't say they're tied together. I would say that it's all, you know, we're in a great evolution of our league, right? We're growing. I think, and I don't want to speak for Nancy, but I think they are excited about the future of the league, right? And so part of that future is we have to continue to invest in our property, invest in our players, invest in our infrastructure. And so all those things are happening at the same time as we bring on a new partner to help us tell our story and tell a story that we can then go out and monetize and pump more money back into the system. So I think it's all happening at the same time in real time, and it's all it's tremendously exciting. It's there's a lot to be done still. There's a lot of opportunity that we haven't tapped into yet. So it's all tied together in a really positive way.
You know, if I can just add to that, there's no direct line between those two, but clearly in all of our discussions with A&E, the idea is to promote the league, to enhance the league in all areas. So the fact that they've come to the party and are investing significant resources, dollar and otherwise, does allow us to do some things that we all agree need to be done. So whether that's player compensation or other standards for the league, none of the owners has taken dividend out of any of the funds that are being put in. So there's a commitment on the part of the owners to grow the league, to enhance the experience for fans, for players, for everyone involved. So there's no direct line, but there's certainly a dotted line in the ability of the league to do things like that when new resources are available.
And I would say it's not just the financial relationship and investment, but it's the strategic investment. We're a media company with platforms and relationships on distribution and ad clients and sponsorship and marketing, and we're looking forward to bringing all that to bear in behalf of the league.
This is for Christy. Congratulations. You've been involved in different leagues, including this one. The previous leagues didn't last beyond 3 years. This one had its fourth year last year, fifth year this year, and now you've got a 3-year deal today. Does this feel like significantly different now, this league, to you than previous attempts?
Absolutely. I just feel like the relationship with the sponsors and obviously with A&E coming on, it just shows that they believe in us as players. You know, and as players, we need to continue to do what we have to do on the field to make the product really well so that, you know, it is entertaining, you know, for the fans to watch and stay connected. But it does, getting into this 5th year, and it's a process, and we've, I think, been doing it right this time around and going in a slower process and then starting to raise the salaries. So I think the connection today is just showing that commitment that we are doing the right thing.
Nancy, you have spoken about the fact that you consider Lifetime not necessarily a television brand, but a female media brand. Everybody on the panel has talked about kind of the global expansion of women's soccer. My first question is, as a network that wants to be a female media brand, Lifetime's viewers might not necessarily, maybe you could also speak to this too, of maybe they're not sports fans initially, and sports fans might not be Lifetime fans. There might not necessarily be an immediate crossover there. So I'm just curious that if there isn't, how do you try to target the sports fan who might not necessarily be interested in Lifetime? And how do you sell this product to someone who watches Lifetime who might not necessarily be interested in soccer?
Well, I think there's a couple things. There's some assumptions there. I think 45 to 50% of the NFL viewership is female. So women watch sports. Sports are great dramatic stories, and if those sports stories are served up in an entertaining and relatable way and in a passionate way, women crave those authentic stories of aspiration, of competition, of drive and determination, agony and defeat, to use the phrase. And I think that we see a tremendous amount of overlap with our audience. I mean, we haven't had soccer on our air yet, so I can't tell you, from a numerical standpoint or empirical standpoint, exactly what that overlap is going to be, but that's our job to sort of present that in a compelling way. It's also an opportunity for us to bring younger girls and new fans to Lifetime. We have a variety of shows that all speak to different audiences, whether it be some of the dance competitions or Project Runway or Bring It or Dance Moms, and then you have the Lifetime movies, and then you have Unreal and the Lifetime series. All of those are speaking to a different range of emotions that women have as they watch and consume stories on different platforms. And I think if you're going to be a media brand and not just a linear television brand, then you have to make sure you're speaking to all women and all interests. So it may mean that you end up with smaller audiences serving individual pieces of content, but the aggregate is what's important and what we're paying attention to.
If I could add to that too, I think one of the things that Nancy and Dan, we talked about very early on, was the idea or the reality of cross-generational viewing, right? The reality of moms and daughters or dads and daughters watching shows, dads and sons. I'm very happy to say that I watch Project Runway with my daughters. And so, dance moms as well, I must admit. So, there's a very exciting new twist, I think, that's coming up. So,
very exciting new twist.
But it's true, and my daughters watch sports with me. So I think it's a new day about how people consume media, and I think. And we hear this all the time, but it's true. Content is what matters, and I will very happily put these players and that content and that platform against anything. And they play at a very high level. They're great athletes, is what's most important, and they play the sport at the highest level. And so we're excited to tell their story and demonstrate how it could be really quality.
You guys have spoken about the global reach of soccer. YouTube allowed for all NWSL games to be viewed anywhere in the world. What plans, either Jeff or Nancy can speak to this, do you guys have to make those games accessible to an international audience in some form?
Yeah, like I've said, the commitment is the same as it's been, and so we're talking to a variety of partners, and the technology is in place that we can absolutely do that. We can do it ourselves. And so there's no lack of commitment to making the games available. We're very excited about our international audience. It's an international audience that's only going to grow. The sport of soccer is unlike any other sport in the world. And so we are fully cognizant of that. We continue to have players from around the world who want to come play in this country also. And so there's never been more interest in our league, whether that's players coming in, partners coming in, expansion possibilities. And so all those things combined, we're very committed to that. But we'll let that run its course in the course of the next couple of weeks and months as we work through our meetings.
This one's for you, Sunil. U.S. Soccer in the CBA talks has made a point of noting its financial commitment it's made to the NWSL in its first 4 years to kind of help the league get a footing. Does this commitment by A&E change U.S. Soccer's commitment to the league at all?
If you mean, are we pulling back because there's another major partner? The answer is no. It's just the opposite. It confirms our commitment going forward, and in our discussions both with A&E and with our owners, that was made very clear. So A&E wanted to make sure that we were committed to this long-term as a partner, that if it's, whether it's strategic resources or dollars, what they were bringing to the party wasn't going to replace what we were doing, but be additive. So it is, our commitment is now long-term for the first time. It's always been long-term. Now it's memorialized long-term. And so we're going to do this as long as we need to, And what I mean by that is until the league is fully up and running and hopefully the investors are getting a return, players are earning higher compensation, all the standards that we'd like to see are improved, A&E is seeing a return, all of those things. That's going to take some time. And we understand that, and we're committed to this for the long term. This isn't a short-term project.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, but we are committed to growing the league. Yes, it's important, but I think along the way, the conversations have been very transparent and very collaborative. Growing a business is not something that happens overnight, and we're very familiar with what that feels like to grow a channel. I mean, growing a league is very similar in a way to growing a media brand or a television channel. It doesn't happen in months or quarters, it happens in years. And I think our acumen here and our executive skill set here understands that, which makes us an ideal partner to help grow this league and support these women. Because ultimately what we want is for these women to be household names and to be a much more powerful sport in their own right.
Thank you. This will conclude today's press conference. We will have a brief photo opportunity here with the speakers in the front and as well as the women's national team players that are in attendance today, and then everyone will be available for one-on-one interviews. I want to thank everyone for being here. Cupcakes off to the side, which we'll indulge in, as well as a glass of champagne to celebrate after this press conference concludes. So thank you for being here. We look forward to celebrating this season with all of you in the coming months.